Okay, this is part 2 of the writing your essay videos. So we went through the structure and then I wanted to have a look at an A grade essay. Now on DayMap and on OneNote there are actually 7 examples ranging from A+, there's 3 A+, an A, a B+, a C, and a D+, so 7. So do have a look at them. Obviously they have a different question to you, which was how does the director of the film Avatar highlight and explore the main issue of the film? And your question is, how does the director use techniques to convince you to change your diet, and does it work? Still similar, we're answering a question about director and techniques used. Obviously you can see that she's got her SACE ID number at the front, and the title of the question is her essay topic. You will also have the other 2 things I require up here, which is the task and stage 2 EAL. Now, let's have a look. She needs to tell us who directed the film and what techniques she'll be talking about in her next paragraphs, and does it convince her to change her diet? Now, yours is about diet and hers was, does it answer the main question of the film, the main theme? So let's have a look-see. She's starting with Avatar because that's the movie that she's about to talk about in the whole film, in the whole film response. And she gives a very, very brief overview of what the movie is about. It's a science fiction movie based on human colonization of a planet called Pandora after Earth lost its natural resources as a result of modernization and technical change. Very quick summary of what the film is about. Then she talks about the setting where the film is set. So Pandora is home to indigenous natives known as the Na'vi, who are perceived as primitive by the Sky People, but who are in fact highly evolved. And then she goes on to talk about the powerful system of imperialism, which was the main theme explored. So the main issue explored. So here she said imperialism was the main theme explored throughout the film because there are a number of characteristics which relate to it in the plot. Imperialism was demonstrated as the Sky People possessed the desire to steal resources. So that's the first example. To create cultural hegemony. And it was conveyed a powerful message about greed and how the desire for greater wealth can do more harm than good. So those are the 3 things that she's going to go on and talk about in her essay. Let's have a look at her paragraph body number 1. She's obviously going to be talking about imperialism. It is a system which is implemented when a powerful nation takes over a weaker country or group of people and control their culture and economics. Now that sounds very similar to a definition. Up here, she introduced that she was going to talk about imperialism, but she didn't explain what it was about because she wanted to dedicate a whole paragraph to imperialism. She's had to give a definition because it's not a commonly assumed topic that someone should know about. So she's provided a definition, which continues into here. Now that shows that not only does she understand, but she wants us to understand too, which is why she got an A+ for that section. And then she links it back to the question, which was, this was evident in the movie. So she understands it, she understands how to explain it, and then she understands where it was in the movie. And she gives an example. As the Sky People initially created the Avatar project for humans to gain an understanding of the unique ecosystem and develop communication with the natives. So a very specific example. Their motive was to then exploit the land for an expensive mineral which lay underneath. Imperialism was clearly evident in this scene. That sounds like her explanation, her linking sentence back to the main topic, because the policy includes a stronger nation resources from the natives' land. So she's explained what it is, she's gone into detail, provided an example, and then linked it back to the main question. Now she goes on to talk about the greater message of greed and how the desire for greater wealth can do more harm than good. Imperialism promotes acculturation as one nation possesses higher power and cultural superiority. Due to their wealth, they tend to disregard the traditions of the native people. This was evident. So she's introduced it, started to answer, and now given some evidence. She said that the Sky people perceived the Na'vi as expendable. They believed that they were uncivilized due to their traditional lifestyle, when in fact they were highly sophisticated and possessed a spiritual connection with nature and their land. Cultural hegemony was demonstrated, so that's another thing she talked about up here. Cultural hegemony by the Sky people as they failed to recognize the traditions of the Na'vi. They took away their beliefs and values, an example being, she's used some evidence, the destruction of the home tree. The location was more than just their residential home, as trees served greater significance to their traditions. So she's explained her evidence. The trees existed in order for them to connect with Awa, and she's used a quote, which means their great mother. The destruction of this site prevented the Na'vi from practicing their rituals, indicating, so now this is her opinion, that the Marines had no sympathy for them. So she's explained what happened, she's analysed what happened, and used her own understanding. Although Grace gave Parker Selfridge and Colonel Quaritch an explanation as to why the site was sacred to the existence, they completely disregarded her and laughed. That's another example. One of the features of the imperialism was demonstrated in this scene because the dominant nation replaced the local culture. The natives were forced to abandon their cultural practices, especially after the destruction of a traditionally holy site. She is missing a linking sentence there, but it was a great in-depth example of her analysis up higher. That's her last body paragraph, and it's still talking about imperialism, as that is the main issue of the film. It always results in deadly conflict between the weaker and superior nations. This was evident, so she's answered. Now she's providing some evidence throughout the movie, as there were many fatalities, especially towards the end when the Sky people and Na'vi were at war. After the home tree was demolished, both parties immediately took action and fought against each other as a result of anger and resentment. After the RDA became aware of the Na'vi tribal group's rapid increase in numbers, Quaritch ordered a preemptive strike against the Tree of Souls. He intended, with a quote, to blast a crater in their racial memory so deep that they won't come within 1,000 clicks of this place ever again. They set out high explosives, however the Indigenous did not possess advanced weapons, therefore had no defense against the Sky people. As a result of this battle, hundreds of people from both parties died. Death occurred in imperialism, as the weaker nation often fights back. So she's given her example and then linked it back to her main topic, which is imperialism, and she's shown how her example actually relates to what imperialism is, as it is the weaker nation often fighting back in order to gain their land and rights, just like happened in the movie. However, these battles are at the expense of many lives. And now she's got to sum it up in a couple of sentences about the powerful system of imperialism. We're still talking about imperialism, was the main theme which was explored in Avatar. Sounds very similar to the main issue in the film Avatar. The actions of the Sky people demonstrated the characteristics of this system towards inhabitants of Pandora. They had a desire to extract natural resources from the planet, exhibited cultural superiority, and the greed they possessed resulted in conflict and death. Resulting in conflict, possessing the desire to steal resources from another nation, and how the desire for greater wealth can do more harm than good. Sounds very similar to what we have written in here. And now it's her final sentence linking back to the main question, and it says, incorporating this theme was powerful as it conveyed a strong message in regards to greed and how hatred can result in devastation. So, as you can see, she did a pretty good job, and she actually got an A+ for this essay. It's not perfect though, and there are always things that we can fix, and I'm sure you've seen a few of those. But if you have anything similar to that, you're on the right track.